Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the December 2nd meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have a roll call for the Housing Authority, please?
Authority members Draymond.
Here.
Mincy.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Quintero. Weaver.
Here.
Chairman Yusefian.
Here. May we have your report, please?
The agenda for the December 2nd, 2008 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Wednesday, November 26, 2008 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Okay. What's next, please?
Next is approval of minutes.
I move. Hooray.
And I will need to abstain as I was not here.
And I will also abstain. And with that, 2 abstentions, the minutes will be approved as submitted. What's next, please?
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
Thank you. And please let the minutes show, the record show that Mr. Quintero is in the dais now. Herbert Milano.
Good afternoon, Councilman Yusefian, members of the Housing Authority, and city staff. My name is Herbert Milano. I want to give you an update on yesterday's meeting with regard to the quality of life committee meetings. This is the once-a-month meeting where we have an opportunity to gather all of the subcommittees and discuss our progress. The evaluation I'll give you is my impression of it, since I'm not a formal project manager here. But it is my take that fewer than half of the committee members assigned appeared, and some of the information was pretty much a summary of stuff that we had from the previous month. In other words, in my assessment, very little progress. Under the current pace that we have, I don't believe we'll have the outcomes that you expect by the deadline that you set out. During one of our discussions, one of the police lieutenant, who's a member of the crime subcommittee, were able to at least go over some of the measures that would be salient and relevant for a report. Now, most of those reports concerning Part 1 crime are already available online through the Department of Justice. What we don't have are the current reports from 2007 and maybe any year-to-date numbers. But pretty much what he's offering is stuff that we already can get from the federal government. My question to him was, well, could we get detailed information with regard to domestic violence, to take the aggravated assault and give us that relevant information, or to get information about youth crime relative to aggravated assault, as an example. From what I take is that he's got a very busy schedule and pretty much tied up, and will make arrangements to try to make some of this information available or have a further meeting. But the overall take that I get from all of the members is that there are very few incentives to basically put the level of energy and there are very few resources to try to really move this project along. This is, again, my impression, which is pretty much similar to what I sense as the, I should say, the incentives that you yourselves have in getting this project to come through. From my interpretation of moving along towards obtaining these quality of life indicators is that I mentioned last time that I don't feel that there is truly a true ownership here. And I look at it from the perspective of behavioral economics. I mean, if you move this project forward, it's no different than from the information that you have from years past. It doesn't really create any additional voters for you. It doesn't really create any additional income or campaign contributions for you. So just from the behavioral economics, there really is no incentive or need for you to move forward this along. When you do not provide the funds for additional staffing or the staffing required to move this project along, well, then you're burdening the staff with additional work, so there's no incentive as such. They now have to struggle to get this project through on top of the work that they already have. There is no financial incentive because they're on civil service, so there's no incentive there as well. And there is no major buy-in, and let's say coming from, let's say, the city manager to say, absolutely, we need to get this done. So what is the win? There is no economic win for this group to basically move it forward. And there is no real true energy that I can sense from the Housing Authority to move it forward. And I want to bring those along because at the end of the day, it's not really a moral issue. It's whether or not there really is a definitive benefit or incentive to get these things moving through. So I want to bring back, again, the need to have quality information concerning crime. One of the topics that was brought up at yesterday's meeting is the need for us to have information by geographic areas, meaning by district. There was a comment made concerning the significant discrepancy that we have, or disparity with income. On the north part of Glendale, fairly well-established, good communities with very high income or families with good salaries, the JPL type employees. But on the southern part of Glendale, we have some very significant economic disparities, that translate into all kinds of problems within the school districts and within crime as well. So it is my hope that when we get across to finishing this project, that we have definitive measures by geographic district, which will allow us to then measure all of these issues that are of importance to you, or to all of us, issues about housing and crime and education and graduation rates and so on. So anyway, that's my personal perception and a status report on the conditions and the development of the quality of life indicators. Thank you.
That was my only card on this item. What's next, please?
Next item is authority member staff comments.
Any comments?
Move we adjourn.
Hold on. I have some comments.
Oh.
Let's try that.
Yeah, and I think it has more to do with what the previous speaker said on the oral communication. I do not understand some of the comments due to the fact that this council, on a monthly basis, gets a report from both the fire department and the police department, a very detailed report of what the crime status is. We do get a map of Glendale with all the different areas identified by precincts, and they basically say on each one what the number is, what the census data is, and how many of them was rape, how many of them was, let's say, robberies, and so on and so forth. It is a full color map. It shows all of the data. The fire department has a complete detailed workout of what they provide on a monthly basis. So I do not understand when the staff is telling public we don't have access to that information, because we get it. If they don't have it, we'll go back and get my weekly reports, and maybe I can provide that. So those should be available, and I think the fire chief and the police chief both went through a very difficult time putting that statistics together, and it has become more of a routine and reporting that what happens. And I'm pretty sure Sam can get access to that if we have it. The department is the same police department that is providing it. As far as the ownership, I don't know how many times this council has said there's an ownership to that, and I will say there's still an ownership to this. The issue in this type of work documents is not whether it generates any votes or it generates any money for us. These are informational documents we need so we could make the policy decisions that are pertinent to this community. And that's the reason we're doing this. And we do this every 5 years. It has taken 7 years this time. And the reason is to see what the progress is. How well are we doing compared to 5 years ago on some of these issues, and how much more attention we have to pay on some of these items. And if I'm wrong on any of my statements, please correct me, my colleagues. We all get those reports, am I correct?
Yes.
Yep. So, and I don't think...
know what, but in all fairness, I don't know what they've received, so I don't know if that's different from what we have. So
Right.
to assume that they're not getting what we're getting maybe is a jump that we should wait until we find out what they were getting.
Right, but the point I'm trying to make is that that data is available. It's not that they have to recreate something. It's out there, we get it, so it needs to be shared with them.
I just don't know who out there wants it. Nobody's ever called me and asked for this information.
Sammy?
I know, I see the public, he's here every week asking for the information, but there's 207,000 people here, and nobody's calling me and saying, I want the police report, I want the fire report, I want the crime report, I want the statistics. Nobody in this city, other than gentlemen in here, have ever asked me in 12 years. So if it's available, fine, get it for them. But the crying public is not asking for it, well, at least not from me.
Mr. Weaver, I don't think it's about the public. I think the group that is putting the the quality of life indicators is the one that needs that. So I think that's what we think.
I'm sure they can ask
Mr.
for it.
Starbird.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think there were two things referenced. One is the quality of life, the other one is individuals who make a request for information. If we publish a report, whether it's the police statistical report that's published monthly or anything else, if it's available under the Public Records Act, we'll provide it. Now, I don't know what's been requested. We're not obligated to compile data that isn't otherwise already compiled and published in a report. But if it's published in a report and it's public information, we'll provide it. With respect to information provided to the Quality of Life Group, your direction to us has been to cooperate and support that effort, and we'll do that to the best of our ability.
Sam Engel.
Chair Youssef and members of the Housing Authority, as one of the staff people that's working with the Indicators Project, honestly, yesterday I had quite the opposite feeling after our meeting than Mr. Milano did. As a matter of fact, I came back and said this was one of the better, most positive meetings that we've had, in that the committee actually was discussing why a particular statistic may be relevant and why we should be measuring it, and somebody else having an exact opposite opinion of that. And when you're able to have those kind of discussions, from my perspective, people truly are engaged. And I'm looking at it as a staff person facilitating this happening, not as a person on there, and I have to present that to you. But I came back more energized yesterday because of these discussions. With regard to the request from the police department, it wasn't, to my understanding, and I have notes from the meeting, that the material, that those statistics weren't available. It was whether or not we could drill down further in the statistics to get something very specific, in particular on violent crime. If you took out domestic violence, for example, what's the true violent crime as to that? And it was that level and that meaning of that statistic, and that was the discussion, and the police are trying to get that. And that was what wasn't immediately available. I just wanted to put that in the context for you.
Thank you. And with that, I think we're done with our comments.
Yeah, I move we adjourn.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion, second, we're adjourned.
Okay.